Good morning, second grade students. I hope you are having a great day so far. I hope you have completed extra math, and I hope you are ready to hear the second part of our story that we started yesterday. So yesterday we started Town Mouse, Country Mouse, and remember I put a post-it in our book because it is just so long. And that was a strategy that I said that you could do. Anytime that you have a book that you want to read, if it's really long and you know that you're not going to have time or you need to just break it into more manageable parts, I suggest putting a post-it note as a reminder to stop and think about what you have read. Because remember, being a good reader is not just that you sound great reading, it's also that you're thinking about what you're reading and you can ask and answer questions about what you have read. All right, so far we have met Town Mouse and his wife and Country Mouse and his wife, and they both are a little bit unhappy about where they live. The Country Mouse is a little bit unhappy about living in the country, and the Town Mouse is a little unhappy about living in the town. And so they meet one another and they say, hey, do you want to switch places with me? And they think that it's a great idea. But so far we've noticed that maybe there are some things that aren't so great in both places. And I'm wondering if they think that this switch was a good idea. So here we go. We're going to keep reading. So we just read where the town mice are going to go search in the countryside for fresh blackberries, but he almost gets carried away by a crow. All right. Not far away in town, the Country Mouse felt his wife's silky tail. Nothing broken, he said, but when he looked in her eyes, he saw how sad and discouraged she was. I know something that will cheer us up, he told her. Follow me. He had spied a small window up above the pantry shelves. Together they climbed higher and higher. When they reached the top, he rubbed away the soot, and they looked out at a piece of blue sky. Doesn't it look like home? The Country Mouse asked his wife. That makes me think that maybe he's getting homesick. The town mice stood quietly together after their awful blackbird scare. I thought I had lost you forever, the Town Mouse whispered to her husband. They looked around. How still and peaceful it was now. The sun had come out, and everything was glistening and green. It's beautiful here, she said. We should try to enjoy it. I know, the Town Mouse said, but I miss the sound of the town, all the hustle and bustle. Here I feel so alone. And in our cozy townhouse, we knew what to expect, his wife added. So it sounds like both groups are thinking that they might want to go back to their original home. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. The country mice knew to stay home in a thunderstorm, and they knew what to expect from a hungry owl. But they soon found out that there were different dangers here, where they discovered a tasty morsel of blue cheese sitting on the pine board. This time you take the cheese. I'm still shaking from being caught in the cheese box, the Country Mouse said. So her husband crept toward the cheese, whiskers trembling, and he reached it. His foot slipped, and he heard a whoosh, followed by an enormous snap. And he was thrown across the room. He landed in a warm bundle of something soft and furry. Uh-oh. So if you can't see it, there was a mouse trap, and he landed in something soft and furry. What do you think it is? Remember Jan Brett's illustrations on the borders of her page, so this would be the border. They tell their own story. So I think he landed on the kitty. The Country Mouse was shaking from his close call. I can barely stand. He winced as his wife pulled him up and patted down his crumpled whiskers. It was then that she noticed the bundle of which her husband had landed was tipping and turning. It was alive. Two green eyes snapped open. Run! She cried, getting a good look at it. It's an owl with teeth. Is it an owl with teeth? The town mice knew how to avoid mousetraps set with cheese, but they soon found that the country had its own perils when they explored the riverbank, hand in hand. Suddenly the water began to boil and churn, and a huge wet head popped up and stared at them. It was a river otter. The mice tore back to their tree stump home, only to find a hedgehog rolled into a ball in front of the door. Then they heard an animal crashing toward them through the underbrush. "I can't take this anymore," the town mouse quacked, and she raced for the nearest tree, with her husband right behind her. This is a badger. Most of Jan Brett's books are about animals. From the treetop, they could see the town lights blink as the sun went down and the stars came out one by one. "What shall we do?" the town mouse asked his wife. But before she could answer, she saw a pair of glowering eyes right beside them, and they were face to face with the most terrifying creature of all, a cat with wings. "A cat with wings!" shrieked the town mouse. "That's it for me," his wife cried, and they ran down the tree and toward the town as fast as their legs could take them. As the town mice headed frantically along the road, the country mice were fleeing in terror toward the country. Their paths crossed, but neither saw the other. They were so frightened. Even the sky seemed to be falling down on them. The country mice didn't stop running until they could see their tree stump in the distance. Ooh, look! They might run into one another. The town mice kept on running until they reached their town home. The musty smell of old wood and smoke from the kitchen all seemed wonderful. Even the street sounds outside sounded cheerful and friendly. "There's no place like home," sighed the little mouse, as he and his wife settled into a warm old slipper. "There's no place like home." And atop their cozy tree stump, the country mouse and her husband looked up at the full moon shining down on them. They sighed happily. "We missed you," they said together. Back on the road, the cat and owl knocked each other out when they collided head-on. The cat, slowly waking up, touched his bruised head gingerly. He looked up to see the owl brushing himself off. It was then when he had an idea. "Owl, how would you like to trade places with me? I've always wanted to live the simple life in the country." The end. What do you think your advice would be to cat and owl? Would you say, yes, you should switch places? Or no, it's not always greener on the other side. You're going to miss home. My other question for you, this could be a journal writing thing, is if you switched places or if you went to go live somewhere else, what do you think you would miss most about your home? Maybe you don't realize you would miss it, but what's something that happens every day or something that makes you feel cozy and safe at your house? And you could tell me about that in your journal. All right. I will see you again for your math directions. Have a great day.